Welcome to the next episode of Discipline, Desire, Dedication. My name is Dakota Lang, along co-host Garrett Cotten. Today we're going to talk about some keys to success, and one of the biggest things that we were talking about before we went live on the pod was just, in simple terms, structure. Structure in your life, structure in your business, and structure in your family. Literally everything in your life. If you have structure, then there's no reason that you can't be successful.
I guess we can kind of tie it in going back to before we had structure, right? I can even go back to high school days, waking up, having no structure, like not caring about school, not really caring about football, not really, it's just ultimately going through motions. And I feel like everybody does that until we have like a purpose, But as far as structure goes, for me, I would say that what gave me some structure was actually going into the Army National Guard. It gave me a sense of like understanding that the task has to be done, understanding that like, hey, every day there's something to do, like there's purpose. Wake up at 4 o'clock, even if you start cleaning, that's usually what we did at basic. You'd wake up at 4 and you start cleaning, right? It's structured to wake up and do something routinely every single day. And I'd say that's kind of like what helped me to start with kind of building a good structure. And then that's translated into the sales world. Whereas like in sales, when I first got into the job, there's no consistency, right? It's like I wake up today, what's for breakfast? Oh, we'll just pick it up on the way to work today. It's like you just kind of go through motions and you figure it out. But once we implement routine, that is the structure that we're able to start predicting what the days are going to have for us. It's kind of in the sense of like if we wake up, then we're able to predict like, hey, I know that if I wake up at this time, I know that I'll have ample enough time to get breakfast, work out, and be at office on time. Now we're starting to structure our days to allow us to have the most success.
Yeah, and I think that everybody's going to have a different, not different structure, but maybe different routine.
Yeah, and different things work for different people.
Yeah, different things work for different people because you look at, when we were knocking or when we were closing, right? You're working different hours, so you have different routines, right? Even as regional, I got a specific routine that I do on every single trip.
Yep.
You know what I mean? As soon as I get there, I'm refreshing Trello boards. I'm looking at the scene of what trends do we have. You know what I mean? Listening to C-Rows, identifying what I can do. But I think that having that routine when you go on these trips, you're able to get better outcomes.
Yeah. And on that topic, I think that, we're going to talk about it multiple times, but I'll say this. But Grant Cardone, one of his sayings is that mastering sales is mastering the art of prediction. When you overcome so many objections so many times, like for instance, we deal with, can I get a card, right? Mastering sales is mastering the art of prediction. So when you get hit with that card, that objection, so many times, you can predict on what's going to be the best thing to say to overcome that objection. So it's kind of, I feel like, in a sense, when we implement routine, it's what helps us to be able to set ourselves up for more success on the day-to-day. I think back to like knockers. As a knockers are able to implement routine to where they can go out there, for me, if I I'm very superstitious on the same side, but I'd say wearing the same color shirt, wearing the shoes that I wore yesterday, eat the same thing for breakfast that I did before. Things like that routine, it helps me to predict what's gonna happen in my day.
Yeah, and I'll go back to like my knocking whenever I qualified.
Mm-hmm.
I used to break up my day into 4 quarters, right? I treat it like a football game. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to go out there, I'm going to get 15 hard conversations because I always said if I do minimums, I get minimums. So I would never let myself get 50. I would always do more.
I think on this structure, I think it'll be good. We can go into depth on our structure things that like your hard non-negotiables. Because for me, It started with get out the car. As soon as I parked the car, I got to get out of the car. And it was a non-negotiable. And that was structure, right? That's what I did every day. So what's some more that you did?
Yeah, so like I was saying, whenever I was qualifying, I broke my day up into 4 sections, like a football game, 4 quarters, because it was just related to my brain. I don't know why, but I would go out there and I'd get 15 convos, right? I didn't care if it took me 100 doors to knock or if it took me 15 doors to knock. I was getting 15 convos, and then I was going to give me a water break. get back out there, give me another 15,
Yep.
right? And I look up at the end of the day, right? And that consistency of doing that, no matter of what I couldn't control,
Yep.
I can't control if I had 5 renters, right? I had to go get 15 homeowners with decision makers, you know what I mean? I couldn't control if I had to knock 100 doors to get it, right? I just knew that I had to get those 15 convos before I could get me a water break, right? That way I had structure all throughout my day. And once you have that consistency and the structure in your business, that's how you have longevity and you get consistent results.
Yeah, and I know it's so cliche, but it comes back to marrying the process and divorcing the outcome. It's like to go out there and get 15 hard combos, but and that's knockers, new people that are in the business, use those as to your advantage and go out there and get creative to make it more fun on the doors and also more enjoyable for yourself. For me, I'd go out in a first session and I told myself that I have to have 20 combos in a first session. I just broke it up in 2. I used to always just divide my day, first half, second half. And 20 combos in a first session is so easy to get 30 combos in a second session, right? So, but that was just my routine. That was my structure. I'm not allowed to take a lunch break until 20 combos are hit. But then that married the process, divorced the outcome. I didn't really care if I had a set. I didn't really care. Of course, I'm trying my best to set. But as long as I went out there and got my combos in the morning, then I knew that in the evening time, it would never be a situation where I'm like struggling to get combos, right?
Yeah, going out there and we see that a lot, especially this time of year. It gets hot.
And that's a structure to prevent not achieving a minimum, right?
Yep.
So it's a structure is what helps to achieve the maximum in every single day.
Yep. And especially it's the middle of July. It's hot, especially, even here in Utah, it's pretty hot. But you go down south, you're talking about 105 degrees. Phoenix is hot, right? If you're going out there and you're only letting yourself get, 15, 12 combos in the morning, and then you look up in the evening time, and guess what all you're chasing? Combos. That's all you're chasing.
A set. You're chasing combos.
Yeah, you're not chasing to go get sales and set appointments, right? So if you have structure with that, then you're never even going to think about combos, right? And that was my philosophy, is if I broke up my day, I already knew no matter what, I'm getting my combos. I'm not even thinking about combos.
Yep.
Now all I'm thinking about is how many appointments can I set in that 15 convo segment. You know what I mean? And now I'm focused. That's where the money's made. Because if you're just going out there, I tell people, if you go out there and you go chase 50 convos, guess what you're going to come back with?
Well, that's it.
50 convos. Yip-de-doo. You know what I mean? So break down, have structure in your day. You know what I mean? Structure in everything that you do. That way you can maximize your outcomes.
Yeah. All right. So knocker role is where you're starting to build your structure. Kind of let's roll into closer. And what are some things that you did?
Before we get into closer, though, because this is going to roll into closer as well, right? We're talking about structure inside, like during the day with the doors and stuff like that. One thing that we did whenever we were both knocking and closing was our morning routine, right? We still have a morning routine. It looks different now, but during that time, because you'd be in the streets till 7, 8 o'clock at night, sometimes 9 when you're closing, So you had to utilize your mornings for everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So every morning, right, when me and him were in Denver, we were at CrossFit every single morning.
6 a.m.
And I promise you, if one of us missed it, we were talking shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Not letting the other one know that, hey, I'm better than you. You know what I mean? And that's how, find you a buddy. Find you a friend to do hold each other accountable to those types of things.
There's structure in that. Think about Levi and Kyle in this business.
Yep.
They structure each other because they hold each other accountable in different aspects, right? Even for me and you, we hold each other accountable in different aspects. So that's structure to allow us to continue to grow podcasts, to grow wedding venue, to grow future businesses, right? So, but structure, if you don't implement it, I guess a lot of it comes behind with purpose as well. So structure is going to follow where purpose is wherever you put purpose at is the best way to put it. Because the purpose behind like recruiting and growing our business, like there's tons of purpose behind it. And every day we figure out what's a best case scenario until it starts to work, right? Recruiting, there's structure behind our method in recruiting, 60-day sacrifice. There's purpose behind it because we're trying to change lives, right? So if you want to get in shape, right, going to the gym, having that morning routine, Now, yeah, we do want to be successful, be good leaders, but we want to be the best versions of ourselves, right? There's purpose behind that. That's why we structure to allow ourselves to be at CrossFit at 6 a.m. So, I mean, ultimately, I'd say that if there's a lot of purpose behind your meeting, then that's where you're going to figure out a way to structure your success.
Yep.
And that's business, For us, morning meetings, we find out that, hey, structure. We know that 9 a.m. meetings are very beneficial because we're out in the hood by 11 o'clock, right? We know that 2 two sessions per day is good structure because it allows for peace of mind for a knocker. They're not working 8 to 10 hours a day, and it allows for us to still have ample conversations and still deliver good messages, right? Yep. There's structure to it.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. I mean, even when I worked at United Rentals, right? Every single morning there was a structured safety meeting, right? That you were a part of. Every morning they had a topic throughout the company that every office went over.
Yeah,
and
they probably learned that through failure, right?
Yep.
They probably learned that, hey, we hadn't been doing safety meetings and so cut his foot off today, right? So then they started doing preventative things. It's predicting the outcome. That's what structure helps to do.
Yeah, and it's doing it over and over again, right? Let's talk about, as a closer, one thing that I used to always do to make sure that I had structure as a closer, because we always talk about 5 hours going out there and producing and stuff like that, is as soon as the meeting was over, I'm going to the doors if I don't have an appointment, because I'm going to get my 15, 20 convos, right? To where in the evening, I don't look up and I'm like, if I haven't ran any appointments, like, oh my God, where's my hours at?
It's 7 o'clock. You got to go out there and knock.
You know what I mean? Right? But having that structure every single morning after the morning meeting, right straight to the doors, I'm going to get my convos in and go set some appointments.
Yeah.
But I think that's super important. What are some other things as a closer that you would say is some good structured things that people could implement?
I think just your outside of work routine is very important, because as a closer, you're the person that is the leader. And I always tell people that if you want to scale in this company, then you need to be the best version of yourself. You have to be the person you want to be led by. You all right, Darvin? Spilling your drink. Yeah, but
It's all over me.
I always tell people you have to be the person you want to be led by. So as a closer, I think it's just structuring yourself and holding yourself to the standard. And because that's kind of like the make or break point. The people who can't hold themselves to a standard, they only make it to closer. You ever notice that? The people who can't take that leap of faith and get to the next step. They just maintain closer, which is good money. They'll have a good month. They'll make $50K, and then they're non-existent for 3 or 4 or 5 months, and then they'll have a big month or something,
Or they quit.
Because
there's no structure.
Yeah.
Simple.
So I'd say as a closer, really, truly, I think it's beneficial to have the outside of work where you're the most reliable person to yourself. I think it's waking up, getting the workout routine, eating right, just being the right person. And that is your structure should be trying to value a quality of life, being a good husband, being a good father, being a good friend, being a good business partner, being a good leader. That's what closer's all about. And then market owner is perfecting that. Everybody's looking at you, never taking a day off, never allowing somebody in your office to be able to say, oh, well, Garrett wasn't there for this, or Garrett didn't do that,
Or he did that.
Yeah, vice versa.
Vice versa. And that goes back to just like preparing for your week, having structure. Every Sunday evening, my thinking cap's running.
The structure is no off days, right? The structure is like it's an obsession, because that's the difference is those guys who are obsessed with it. You can't beg them to take off. Like some dudes in this company on leaderboard, they work 7 days a week, and we don't tell them to. Like they just do it because you can't get them off the doors. I think that's what makes a good closer is structuring yourself to obsess with being. You think about as a closer, you're the star football player. You're the guy that's on the field that everybody's going to know. So I don't want to be on the bench.
Right.
I want to be the number one guy.
Yep. And let's talk about like some things as a market owner for, some structured things that are super important, right? First thing I would say is, and honestly, we're talking about, our business, our line of business, but This goes with any type of business. Like I was saying, United Reynolds.
A manager of a business. What's routine? Routine is you have your energy before the morning meeting, right? Whether that's coffee, whether that's greens, whatever it is, routine. You can't show up to your morning meeting and have low energy because now the whole team is going to have low energy. But that's structure. Structure is being prepared. And that's where preparation, yes. Preparation is the key to success. Cliche, but it's truth. So I think that's like, as a market owner, my big things were 8:30 is non-negotiable. I'm out in the parking lot 8:15 because I want my clothes to be walking in on me every day. I've never been beat, and I get that's just a non-negotiable. It's a structured thing. Missing a day as a market owner, you don't get a day off. There is no reason to ever. That structure, just in my opinion, is like you're going to be there every single day, and it's just it's your obsession. It's your lifeblood. What's some other things that come to mind?
Well, my biggest thing, like, for a market owner is definitely going to be like structured meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Right. We got the cameras, so we're able to, I mean, that was a lifesaver because we're able to, coach people on how to run good structured meetings.
Yeah. Overcomplicating things.
Yeah, overcomplicating things, right? When your meeting starts at 9:30, like 9:30, you need to be up there starting your meeting, right? There don't need to be people eating in there. Like, it needs to be structured. Everybody knows that when 9:30 hits, it's like the alarm on Wall Street. Ding, 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 the phones are ringing, right? We're starting. So making sure that you do that and you have everything broke down. Okay, I'm going to talk about this for 5 minutes, right? And I'm going to talk about this for 10. And then after that, we're going to do this for 10 minutes, and then we're gone, right?
Having it in your mind, knockers will be out of this room by this time.
Yep.
And whereas, like, you're screwing yourself as a leader if you get into that office and you don't have a deadline of like when it's finished, because then you'll go on a rant. And when we see market owners on rants, their revenue starts doing this. They start storytelling, things of that nature. But structured is being prepared, having your meetings planned out. I think that's a good aspect of like making sure that it's that, hey, I'm going to do this for 5 minutes. This is going to be 10 minutes. We'll have a little topic here and then we're off the hood race. Things like that are big. Incentives, it's good to be structured with incentives, not to be offering them every single day.
That's a good
People that do it every single day, market owners, you should be really and truly, you shouldn't need incentives. It's an incentive. Maybe pull one out every couple of weeks or something like that. But if it's a daily $100 same day to run, well, the incentive no longer has the effect. So, but you learn through trial and error, things like that.
Heck yeah. Well, implement that stuff, especially in your day-to-day life. Have structure. You know what I mean? Time block things for specific activities that you can benefit from. So we appreciate all the support. If you're on any of our channels, make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, everything in below. Post to your story. We don't care. We appreciate all of you. We love all of you. And we love all of you. But hey, we appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.